This is my 2001 Acura Integra daily driver, and it's got some issues. So over the past few videos, I've been trying to make this car a little bit more reliable and make it work while keeping it a daily driver. I really want, really want to keep it a cool, mild performance, reliable daily. Now, one of the problems is, the main problem with this car anyway, since I bought it, is it's got a lot of electrical issues, mostly coming from poorly installed gauges and stereo systems. So I recently pulled all of this out because it was just horrendous, and I really don't have any interest in sound systems. Not if you're into sound systems and big speakers, that's cool. Everybody has their thing. It's not really my thing. I've always been more into higher, performance. I've always wanted higher performance and just functionality. Well, anyway, one of the things that this car had going on is the factory gauges. Alright, these aftermarket gauges, I got them to work. They weren't working when I bought the car. They work now sometimes. But the factory cluster, the speedometer works now. It didn't work when I got it. But now, I don't know if you can see that, but if you look in there, the car's not running, by the way. Your tachometer is reading a little over 4,000 RPMs. It's stuck. There was aftermarket gauge faces covering the car, inside the bezel, and the plastic inside the cluster it's broken. It's cracked everywhere. I could easily just buy another cluster and replace the whole cluster, and it would probably fix my problem, but not gonna do that. I have I'll show you what the solution I picked to fix that issue is. So as I was saying, the factory cluster in the car had some of those LED back glow faces added to it, and they would kind of flicker on and off constantly and just never really worked. So I took the cluster apart and pulled that out. Well, when I did, the tachometer stopped working. It's stuck in the same position, and instead of taking that cluster apart again, I'm just going to add an aftermarket tack, because if I take that whole bezel apart again, it's just going to fall to pieces, and I'm not interested in replacing the entire cluster right now. So what I got to do that is I picked up a glow shift, like 3.5 inch tack. It was like 20 bucks, so maybe it'll last a while, I don't know. But it doesn't really matter as long as I have some type of reading on RPM. But anyway, we're gonna install that today. So when you order a tachometer from Glow Shift, it comes with your installation instructions and wiring harness that goes to the gauge and the gauge itself, and some screws and stuff to mount that gauge. Now, what I've already done is I've already gone through the harness that comes with the gauge, and I've already extended the wires and preset it up how I'm going to set it up, and I'll go through that as I'm hooking it up and show you what I'm doing. Alright, so as I said, I have extended these. So on the glow shift harness, the yellow wire I put on the yellow wire, the red wire I put on the blue wire, because all I had was purple, blue, and yellow. And the black wire I put on the purple wire. The black wire goes to a chassis ground, which I have there. The yellow wire goes to a constant 12-volt source, which I used a test light to find in my fuse box. And the blue wire, which is the red wire on their harness, goes to a switched 12-volt source, which I found by probing the fuse box with the test light. The green wire is your signal wire, which I will show you in a minute. It's this wire here, which I've extended, which I will pull through the firewall later. And there's also an orange wire, which is for your goes to your headlight switch, so whenever you turn your headlights on it dims, but I'm not going to use that. But anyway, I'm going to start pulling this wire through the firewall, and then I'll show you where you pick up your tack signal from. Alright, so I pulled the wire through the firewall, ran it across to the distributor, and since my car is OBD2B, alright, a OBD2B distributor sends the tack signal to the ECU, and it also anyway, this blue wire sends the tack signal to the ECU, or to the cluster. So that's the one that you're supposed to tap into so that your tachometer works. So now all we got to do is see if it works. Alright, so one thing I think I needed to clarify a little bit is when you go to tap into the wires on the distributor to get your tack signal. So on an OBD2B car like mine, you have two signal wires from that distributor for tack signal. One goes to the ECU, the other goes to the gauge, or to the cluster. That is a dark blue wire that I tapped into. The other wire, I'm not even sure which color it is, but anyway, it sends a signal to the ECU. The dark blue wire sends it to the gauge inside the car. So if you're doing an engine swap and it's an OBD1 engine, but your car is OBD2, or if you're doing an OBD2 engine swap into an OBD1 car, that's one way that you can get tack signal so your tachometer actually works. Or if you're installing an aftermarket gauge or doing a K-swap or anything like that, that's how you can get a tack signal. I just thought I needed to clarify that because I was hot when I was trying to film outside and I was getting a little confused. So I wasn't I knew what I was doing, but I wasn't enunciating my words very good. So thought I needed to clarify that. Alright, she works. like it might be a little bit off, but it's better than being stuck at 4, so it works. All right, it is fully mounted now. Let's see. So this install took me a little bit longer than it should have. Took a little bit longer than it should have. Really, this should have took like 25 to 30 minutes, but as you can see, I've changed shirts, and look at this. It is incredibly hot in Alabama right now. It's about 105 degrees today, and I have a shop, but it's so full of stuff for the other project car that I can't drive this one in, you know, to actually work in the shade. But some people, you know, they're not into aftermarket tachometers like this one, and yeah, they can be a little bit ricey, but to me it was cheaper than buying a whole new cluster. Plus the mileage is right on this cluster, the speedometer works, the fuel and temp gauge work. The only thing that's not working is the RPM gauge, the tach. And the only reason it's not working is because the bezel, the plastic bezel on the cluster is actually broken. And I'm pretty sure that the needle is stripped out. So if I take it out to try to fix it, I would just destroy the whole thing. And it's not worth doing that to me yet. So what I decided to do was look for something that was on sale. And I ended up with a like $25 glow shift gauge. So it doesn't seem like it's completely on, like it doesn't feel completely accurate, but it's wired straight to the distributor, so it should be, you know, it should be right. It should be an accurate reading. And it's double checked, the back of the gauge is set to 4-cylinder, so it should be right. One way you can check to make sure you've had it wired up correctly is whatever color you set it to, it should remember that. So well, the shift light works, but you should be able to it should remember your color. So turn it off, turn it back on, and it remembers it. If it does not remember it, your red and yellow wires are crossed up, meaning you put one on a switch source and the other on a constant source. It might not be, you know, everybody's cup of tea, but, and yeah, I know that that's pretty ugly right there, but I will, you know, eventually cover it in black tape or just get it out of the way. The door's not gonna rub into it. It was just the best place that I could get to route those wires through. I would have much rather gone through this vent. It was just so hot, and I was getting so frustrated trying to do that, trying to find where the exit is for that vent, that I just gave up and just went through the side here because it was the easiest place that I could do it. You know, you don't have to worry about, you know, door seal is pretty good, so it's not going to get wet, it's not going to get rubbed, it's going to work. And like I said, this is just a temporary fix anyway. It's not supposed to stay like this. It's not going to stay like this forever. Honestly, this is just here so I have something. Plus it looked kind of cool in the nighttime, but it's really just here because eventually I want to have like a digital dash or even a S2000 cluster, but right now just did that so I'd have something to work with. And I'm really still not trying to spend that much money on this car because it's just a daily driver to me. Everything else is supposed to be, you know, all the money's really supposed to be going into that car. But I'd like to show off a little bit of, you know, some of the stuff I can do. So anyway, that was a pretty, you know, quick and dirty install of a tachometer. Should be the same for any type of vehicle, really. But that's where I'm at. Also changed the shift knob. Did some more things, you know. Like I said, I cleaned out the car a good bit. I probably pulled 50 pounds of wire out of it, just trying to, you know, make sense of what was here and what needed, how things needed to be. I got like, so that whole speaker setup that was in the trunk probably weighed about 65-70 pounds. Got it out of the back. Got the air conditioner to actually work and blow cold in this car. I don't use it a lot because I'm used to driving cars with no AC. But anyway, thanks for watching this video if you made it this far. If I did something you don't like, let me know. If you got any ideas about how I could have routed anything a little better, how I could have got a better signal, you tell me, because this is one of the first, you know, wiring's not really my thing, but I'm good enough to get by. So like I said, if I could have done anything better, let me know. If you like the video, leave a comment. Even if you don't like the video, if you hate it, leave a comment, let me know. But see you in the next one, guys.